Good afternoon, everybody. Hope no one's going to fall asleep at that time, but I will try to keep you moving. The idea of this talk is to make a small travel around from the system we wanted to have some years ago, the system we realized we had a year ago, something like that, and the system we think that we'd like to have in some months. Okay, so first, sorry. Okay, about me. My name is Jorge Uriarte. I work at Grails. We've been involved in Grails for the last something like 4 years, something like that. We've been working in several projects. My mother loves these pictures, that's why I put it on. And what I'd like to talk to you about is, well, that's my contact information. This presentation might probably be uploaded right now in Slicer. If not, it will be in a while. I would like to talk to you about a project that I've talked about before, which is the TicketBiz project. It's a client of us. It all starts some years ago. TicketBiz is a ticket exchange system. It's a ticket exchange portal. We started working on basing it on Grails, and it was quite a, so to say, classic system. I mean, this was I have some pictures from a presentation from 2 years ago. So this was the classical, okay, a small balancer, serving static, 2 tomcats, Grails in the application, nothing sexy, not nowadays at least. Okay. The thing is that, why did we start with Grails the first time? It was a well-known territory. I mean, it was JVM. JVM is safe. JVM is feeling at home. We all came from a Java background, so it was quite easy to take that decision. There was another point that was the all good SQL, RDBMS, in Oracle, MySQL. That doesn't really matter. We all know about it, and we felt so comfortable in that scenario. And then there was the GORM magic. I was discussing with someone if GORM was a good or bad thing. Don't really know. But the GORM magic was so appealing back then. I was like, okay, this is going to be the productivity, and this is going to be happiness land for the developers. So effectively, for some time, we had quite a productive development environment. The learning curve was quite affordable for Java-based people, for Java background. And the performance of the system was good enough. So yeah, we started with it, and the system kept growing and kept evolving. And for some years we felt quite comfortable with all it. Okay, this is from another talk from 2 years ago. So the system has started quite small. And in something like a year and a half, something like that, they start thinking about internalizing new countries, new markets, growing. And our architecture, okay, kept growing. These are the countries currently active. And this is what finally got. We scaled the system. It was all based on Amazon EC2. Sorry. We have our friend Terracotta. Doing the dirty cluster job, okay, and some caches, static cache systems, things like that. Okay, but I remember that 2 years ago when I finished a talk with Eloy about this project in the Spring I/O, Enrique Modeo, who is not here right now, came to me and said, "Quite interesting, but I don't think I will have built it that way nowadays." And I kept for a while and start thinking and say, okay, probably if I had to start again, neither would I. And, there are a lot of things that have changed in 2 years, both in the system, both in our users, both in our load, both in the technology available. But that was our system, and we love it. But nowadays we're still struggling for more growth, more countries, different brands. The system has a lot of ambitions. The business is growing, and it's been something like a reality check. How, with other words, reality bites. really bite us, you know where. Why? Because we have some pain in the ass problems, okay, a lot of them really. In our picture, okay, some of the problems, okay, the caches. The cache layer is too big right now, and it's quite hard to tune because we have to conciliate the UX, okay, the user experience, the real user experience, got our beloved Google user. And this is like a Googling experience, because no matter if you think that your cache will be correctly tuned, you will have the users visiting the most popular pages. Doesn't really matter, because Google will try to index you all, and you really want it to do. So it's quite hard to keep a good balance between both approaches. Another pain in the ass, terracotta. Jesus Christ, anyone from terracotta in the room? No. It's been hard to tune, hard to keep, hard to live with. It does its work sometimes, or most of the days, but whenever you want to really change something, and whenever you have some big impact change, it's a real pain. Another problem, okay, our growth. I mean, the system is so big, really, in terms of internal objects, that our fight with the JVM heap, it's been an odyssey. I mean, it's been continuous. I mean, we've been tanning, and the system works. It doesn't really matter, but you have always in mind that you have let it to grow too much, too big, and sometimes you don't really know. You really feel that JVM is not so home anymore. It's now more like a jail or like a cage in which sometimes you want to escape from it and to take some fresh air. And well, of course, this all has been a stress in our main system, which is by design meant to be central, even though our slaves share with terracotta the context and the information. So you all know that. I mean, it's too much. Too much for me, too much for everyone. Productivity slowed down because the system is growth, how to say, too much, too hard to maintain, too hard to develop, too hard to bootstart. I mean, there are some developers in the room who knows how many times you have to invest in just starting the system right now. So we face a feeling of fragility too. I mean, the system has grown so big that you start thinking that you better not change things, and that's the worst thing you can have in mind, because we really have to be able to change things. And as I say, that we felt like in a cage, running, but not to a good place really. Something was stopping us to really feel. So to summarize our problem: slow development, fragile system, too prone to errors, the tanning hell, JVM heap, and my friend. And how to say, the terracotta cluster, which is a solution and a problem on itself, and an overall feeling of excessive complexity. I mean, quite hard to deal with. So there was a point in time in which I felt like that, when it was like, okay, I'm on the top of the cliff, looking up and saying, what should I do now? Right? So we change the system really, so we have the scissors and start cutting. So we say, stop, we are changing it all? Not really. Can we afford that surgery? Can we refactor? So we keep tanning, knowing that sadly the problem is a root problem right now, and the system was designed in a way that has allowed it to grow until a limit. But nowadays you are struggling with things that doesn't really feel anymore like the correct things. So meanwhile, that was a point in time. But meanwhile, sorry, in another thread, mental thread, we all keep looking at new technologies, years go on, and new things appear, and we all have been reading this article. I mean, we all know this web page, and there are a lot of analysis, a lot of different approaches, and we have been sometime just thinking, just learning, and just thinking about what kind of features should we ask a new technology to help us go on. Okay, so in my case, I start feeling somehow in love with the Redis concept. Okay, do you know Redis? Anyone has played with Redis here? Yeah. Okay. What it is? I don't really buy the NoSQL word, so or not only SQL or whatever. But the interesting thing to me is that Redis, more than a key-value store, it's a data structure server for me. I mean, you have interesting data structures that you can exploit, that you can base on. It's blazing fast, really. Okay, it's memory based. It has persistence, but it's mainly memory based. So you have your limits, and it has a master-slave replication system that is like trivial. I mean, it's out of the box. It's, can you work? Okay, I'm doing it. I don't know, but can you set? No, it's done. How it's done? No, it's done. It's already done. You already have a master, 5 slaves working. Really? Yeah, like that. So the problem with that kind of technology, when you are helping a project to grow and helping a project to try go on, is that somehow you feel like you have a solution looking for a problem. I mean, so you like that technology, so probably you could find the excuse to start using it. That's something like an alert in my mind, something like a warning, like stop, make sure, okay, keep thinking. Is there really a possibility of stop and change? And that was still a problem. It was still on top of the cliff. I'm thinking, okay, do you really dare to jump off this cliff? Right? Do you really dare to start changing a running system, a big system with a big growth? And how would you manage? And when you are in a position like this, there are 2 options in my mind. One of them, the knight on the white horse, comes and rescues you somehow. Doesn't really happen. And there's another thing, that someone pushes you off the cliff, or something happens that forces you to take your decision. And in this case, I don't really know what happened, but when we were struggling with the idea, knowing that we had plenty of problems that will somehow compromise the plans for growth, a new side project appeared in the business. And the requirements were quite interesting because it will potentially carry a deadly traffic for our system. I mean, it was big growth, or it might be big growth. Still had to be tightly connected with our core system. I mean, we didn't really want to clone our system, to make a big, how to say, separate a big thing and use it for serve them, then that new client. I mean, the idea was that we still had to have a core central system. But surprise, we have already also a tight deadline. So what could we do? I mean, solution: dedicate a new system, more machines, keep turning, okay. Or maybe catch that train. Say, okay, maybe that's the time. Maybe now is the time to try to experiment a new approach to this new problem. Because if it works, it might pave the way for the rest of the system to evolve. Yep. Our system, okay. You have seen a chart. This is another one. Not really 4 countries. I mean, I don't really know how many machines right now, how many countries, doesn't really matter. But quite an interesting amount of users. Green arrows, red, read-only traffic. I mean, browsing, scanning, deciding if you want that product or not, if you want to buy or not, and of course, our Google user browsing all the system continuously, and we are happy to have him here. So please come here and tell the world about our products. Of course, there's also some transactional traffic, the red lines. I mean, some users that are more heavy writers, and the average user only have some writing access when purchasing, making payments, things like that. So with this, the problem really was that it was slow, and the big central system was getting terribly slow. I mean, so the situation was like that. I mean, we can't take that new opportunity and struggle pushing the system beyond its current limits. Or we can jump the cliff and find a way to change things. So we finally decided to go with Redis. Okay. And how did we manage? Well, step by step, really. I mean, we didn't approach the problem as a new system. We tried to keep the system running. Indeed, the system is currently running. And we start like this. I mean, we got a Redis master, and we start reusing some XML feeds that we already had generated in the system. So you say, okay, our offering is here. So instead of having the new system talk with the servers, talk with our database, and somehow risk to put the system and toward the limits or beyond the limits, we decide to have an asynchronous process that will just eat this thing, okay, and put it into the master. And then with the servers, we do something like this. We start a new light server, a new small Grails application with a Redis slave, which is synchronized automatically by Redis, and start pushing that red traffic to our users. Okay, that's read-only traffic, okay, and the ability of the system to serve that traffic is much higher than the previous one. I mean, the system is so light, really, that it behaves fantastically. Okay, so this was second. Next steps we are doing right now: extend the system, replace previous servers with new light applications, and let Redis do the dirty job of our old terracotta. So somehow the system is getting enclosed in the old core system, and somehow the red traffic has been diverted toward the new fast nodes. Yep, you get it? That's all, really. Okay, some details, not too much. Yep. The feeds were already there. I mean, we need that feeds for some affiliate systems, things like that. So we start evolving them and just using them. So we have something like a 2-hour process that will make a full charge of the system. It's done in some minutes, really. And we have another feed that continuously gives us a log change of the system, a change of log. Log of changes. Okay, so we will feed it continuously in our Redis master that will propagate automatically to our clients. Okay, so this is as simple as an XML slurper. Okay, you have those two importers, really, the bulk and the incremental, and it was born like a temporary hack, and it is a hack. Oh, sorry, the micro. It's a hack, really. Thinking about changing it to something more solid right now, but it's doing its work, okay? And it's helping us to fine-tune the whole system. So yeah, soon to give away to a better system, so I hope. Another part of the process, the Redis replication. Okay, we have the importer feeding and loading our master Redis system, and then Redis will propagate the information transparently. Fast, trivial to set up, really. Fast, trivial, quite fast, really. I mean, I still get surprised at how good the system can work. So this is mostly transparent for us. I mean, we can't forget about the terracotta system, at least in this area. I mean, this is not a cluster, really. It's just a master slave replication. It has limits. But for our use case, it's been the tool really. And then in the front, there's a deadly simple Grails application, quite fast. I mean, no Hibernate, no GORM really. Okay, nothing, little more than a controller, or a pair of 2-3 controllers really, and we are taking the Redis information almost directly from Redis, turning it into JSON, and dumping it on the browser with jQuery. One more page, 3 requests. That's all what we want to have. So the difference in performance is huge. And the code is, I mean, this is almost no code, I can swear. I mean, this is the controller, well, we call it fast control. It's just delegating in a wrapper, no more. And this is one of the most complex methods I can find. Just 2 calls to Redis, okay, just to get some, and there are some intersections between data structures. Nothing really complicated. I mean, Redis has a small learning curve. I mean, you have to start thinking in his data structures, or base your work in that knowledge and not in your background, and that's something that somehow it's hard to me, or it was. But once you start understanding it, it's quite fast. So, deadly simple. As I said, no GORM in this time. I mean, there is a wrapper, not for me, not in this client. Why? Because the system is really structured, the information is really in our core system. And it's supposed to be there forever. I mean, we are just dumping the system to new structures and making a fast exploitation system that will serve all that information. Okay, so I don't really want my ticket being marshaled and unmarshalled, and not really, no way, no use for me. I mean, I can bear with the critics. Not in this case. Okay, the focus is I want to be simple and fast, and it works. It works quite good. And another point that I haven't mentioned is that another of the components of the core system is it was the old searchable system of Grails, which is also, how to say, another pain in the ass. I didn't depict it like that in the chart, but you can imagine, and you have all. So we have also migrated to Elasticsearch, which is somehow a relief. I mean, it's another node, completely different. We are accessing Elasticsearch directly from the browsers, so our Grails application is not being compromised with that traffic. So we have the systems synchronized, and the importing system will keep both systems, the searching system and the information system, so to say, in sync, but they are different systems really. So the usage is quite better, if I can say. So that's what we want to have really. We have it partially. We are now in the process of evaluation of the new countries that have started working in this model. And as soon as the model proves stable enough, we intend to turn down part of or turn off part of the features of the old system and keep the core ones. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we have fat trim node, a fast, light application, and the information is still safe in the core system. I mean, I don't want to move the payment information, the transactional information, the logs, okay, of the whole system into this NoSQL thing. No, not really, not now, not in this project. I mean, the core system is still a transactional, SQL-based, GORM-based system. The difference is that we have much more capacity here, and we have the option to take this burden out of the core system. So he's able to, or it will be able to focus only on its task. And all the browsing system, all the scanning system, all the Google, it's being delegated to the Redis nodes. See? But there's another point. Where did the red arrow go? Okay, because as I said, Redis is being used almost totally for read-only traffic. Solution is really a kind of a write-through proxy. I mean, whenever a user has to really make a transaction, it's something that the system will have to be aware of. The responsibility is proxied through the core system. It's a matter of a percentage, really. It's a matter of how many calls are bound to be transactional and somehow affect the core system, and how many calls are easily handled by the Redis nodes. So, login, session tracking, purchases, payments, subscriptions. I mean, everything goes to our good old SQL GOR system, transactional system, ACID. Okay, we are all happy. Yep, but now with a small fraction of the load. Yeah. So that's our system. Not much more, and that's the way we are trying to work right now. Valuation of our situation right now. I mean, this is a win. Sorry, Terracotta. Maybe we are not smart enough for you. Well, we've been trying to get help from them last year, and it was a pity, but didn't succeed getting the help. So the Redis system is so simple that in this case I think that overweights any feature that Terracotta might offer us. Of course, I'm talking about our use case again. More things: comparison in memory, usage, speed, size, the code base. It's and makes me feel somehow ashamed of our previous work. it's like Jesus Christ. This is fast, simple. The memory thumb that you need is the memory usage that you need is ridiculous. I mean, I'm talking about the whole system in a Redis that it's taking something like less than 200 mega in RAM, and in our I don't really remember how many gigas do we have occupied in the previous systems, but it was terrible. But the system is so lighter that it pays. The coupling of the search system was something that we had in mind anyway, but these steps had helped us taking it, and it's going to be another big win because search table it's somehow getting into our way continuously when trying to improve our previous core system. And of course there are new problems. I mean, somehow we've got a mirror system that gets synchronized from feeds and from some process that might fail. That's a point that we want to improve. As I said, it was a hack, really. It was born like okay, let's see if this thing might work. We have a tight deadline and we will try sketching this solution, and it was surprisingly good, but not good enough, really. I mean, so we'll probably migrate towards some better integration, probably even basic things like that, between the core system, publishing the changes, and the new importer, putting them into master Redis so it gets propagated again to the fronts. So that's all. What I enjoy the most, that development speed is quite different. I mean, yesterday when I was here listening, completely focused on the talk, I did 2 releases in production with the system. That's something that I cannot really imagine with the previous one. But now the development cycle has got accelerated again. We again have a fast, we again might enjoy a fast development cycle, and that's something that pays. So that's it. I don't really have much more things to say. In the new landscape, getting rid of the XML importer, really. As I said, probably that event-driven solution, something like that. Still thinking about it. Delete old code. It's not meant to be used anymore, and someone will yell, "Yay! Delete old code." Delete it all. Keep pushing for speed. We still have some ideas, and they might work, and we've been working on quite a simple system, really, but it might be improved. And keep it simple at least this time. I mean, don't let it grow out of control again. But is this the good solution? I don't know. I mean, Enrique asked me 2 years ago, so maybe you have to ask me in 2 years from now. Okay, did it work really? Did it scale? Did it was enough? I don't know, but that's what we are trying. We're quite in calm right now. The system seems to be quite capable to cope with the new chunks of load that we are expecting with the new countries. Putting a new country in production, something like maybe something like a 3 days work, nothing more really. DNS and a few things. So that was all. Questions, worries, insults. Yep, please.
How do you know it's faster? What are you using for monitoring and testing?
Sorry.
What are you using for monitoring and performance testing?
Performance testing?
Yeah.
Just some distributed scripts loading the system with different transactions. Yeah.
And for monitoring of metrics and load?
Sorry?
Load monitoring?
No, it's not being monitored actively really, or not right now. No, not really. I mean, we've been doing some comparisons in the pilot. I mean, when we did the draft, the first prototype, we did some tests, and nowadays we keep charging it, okay? And until now it's proving quite capable. I don't really have real numbers, but I can try. Something more? Yep.
That sounds to me like CQRS.
Like?
It sounds to me the solution like CQRS. Do you know? Command queries.
Oh, yeah, we talked about it with Alfredo a while ago. Not really, and not thought of. Not thought of. I mean, not intentionally. I mean, if you're going to find this looks like, might look like. It's just a keep it simple approach. Sorry, and it was like, how to say, hitting my mind when I was thinking about it was, but should I put a model in this? And it was like, I don't want it. But I'm used to think about model. I'm used to think about trying to have a system that describes itself. But the problem here is that once you start with Redis, why do I want to, how to say, put a model over my structures? I don't really care accessing that structures. Don't really. Maybe it's because I'm old. Maybe that's because I've worked with the structured information for all my life, previously to an object-oriented, so to call approach. I don't really have a problem with that. Not in this case. Our core model has to be object-oriented, but this is not the core. The core is the transaction. The core is the payment. The why has this to be published right now? Why not? That kind of business logic. We are not talking really about business logic, but the interesting thing here is that 90%, so to say, of our load comes from something that has nothing to do with business logic. So in this case, my way of escape was take this approach, go on, and it's done, and focus on simplicity. And in my mind, this was simpler than other approaches. But something more, please.
Transactions, if you have an event that you can sell only 1,000 tickets.
It's covered. The proxy, the write-through proxy, that request will be handled, and that operation will be handled by the core. It's only that the rest of the load is being diverted to the new systems.
But some clients can have all data.
Well, not so much. We are talking about seconds. No, in this case, it doesn't really matter. The old cage system, it had a worse delay. It had a bigger possibility of having all data than the new one, really. Because if you have some catches in listings or things like that, you are also risking. And even sometimes we had problems with Terracotta propagating the changes fast enough. So this is a trade-off that we can afford, really. I can understand that there are systems where you cannot afford that, but it's not the same. Not that case. Something more?
Why did you choose Redis instead of MySQL database? Maybe the speed or?
It goes the speed. It goes the simplicity to me. a while ago, this afternoon or this morning, talking with Alfredo, I was like talking about MongoDB. I was like Mongo, Redis, Mongo, Redis. Had to choose. Okay, let's prototype. I did the first prototype with Redis, and it was like, okay, I don't really need anymore. In my case, the SQL-like or SQL-like things that MongoDB offers were not an advantage, because somehow it was another art. Maybe I was risking to use it like it in the wrong way. I mean, maybe I might be using a tool that I will start misbehaving or misusing. So I did the decision of, okay, let's go with Redis. Let's adapt to Redis and not try to adapt Redis to my background. So I don't really have the information to say with MongoDB it will be better, with MongoDB it will be worse. I don't really know. If you want to try, we can check. Nothing more? Nope. Yeah.
Redis is the persistent version or the only memory?
It's persistent, but the virtual memory version was discontinued for good, in my opinion. Yeah, because it was turning the system into what's not. And the data it's been persisted in the append-only file, but only for backup and recovery purposes, because our information is mostly directly loaded from the core system. There are some customizations from some countries. I haven't entered into details, but there are different channels of master slaves. We have some master and the slaves for some approach of the business, and some master and its slaves from other approach of the system. Both systems get loaded from the same information, but then there are some back offices that work on the masters directly to customize different things, and then we have that's the only point of the system where we are actively writing information on Redis directly from the users, from editors, back office users, things like that. Okay, but it's persisted mostly for recovery, because it's quite easy and it's quite useful to be able to debug. I mean, oh, this is a problem. What problem? Okay, take the dump, put it in here. You're on. Yep. Nothing more. But thank you very much.